Good afternoon, and thanks for staying. Appreciate it. It's beautiful outside, so I always appreciate anybody who's staying inside in this dark room. Gold price versus reality. I got 10 minutes, 8:50 apparently, so I'm going to keep it short. I haven't presented in San Francisco. I was supposed to present here 2 years ago, but the airline had a problem with that, so I didn't get to present our story here. But Ordnung, we're a data company. We track all the companies on the TSX, TSXV, and CSC in the junior mining space. I'm going to run through this really quickly, but I'm going to be around for questions afterwards. Our criteria, keep that in mind, we only track companies with up to $1.5 billion in market cap and $100 million in financing. And the financing is of that size. That's really important, keeping that in mind, going through the numbers that I'm going to present to you on the next few slides. One thing that makes Ordnung unique, and that's a current slide, is the Ordnung Mining Index. We track, as I said, all the financings. We weigh them, and we come out every Monday. It's a free newsletter you can subscribe to, and we tell you how the market is doing on a weekly basis. And right now, it's looking average. You got to keep in mind that the 100 benchmark was set in January 2011. So getting back to that level, we tried, and we got to it once in 2017, and 2016 looked even better, but we've been far off ever since. Gold versus our Ordnung index. I think that's one of the key slides I try to, and one of the key messages I try to get across here. The gold price has risen, financing activity hasn't in our space. And you can see what's been going on. The gold price went from $1,200 to $1,500 gold, 25% increase, but our average has not increased. Yes, all the investors and everybody who's been in the industry has gone bullish, but we're still missing outside input. We need external investors outside of this room to come in and actually take a position in the junior gold space. And I think it's a little more shown here. In 2016, I think it was more of a generous rally. We didn't have as much competition from other sectors and industries at the time. I'm mainly referring to cannabis, unfortunately. That's still taking a lot of attention, especially here in the US. There's still a lot of growth in that space. And as you can see, 2016, our Ordnung index went up hand in hand with the gold price back then. 2019, not so much. We've been rather flat in comparison to the gold price movement. Our trailing average is still between 40 and 50 points on a weekly basis, and we haven't seen that big uptick. Again, gold versus total sized opened. As you can see, like over the years, we started tracking the industry in 2011, and you can see that there's certain blips, and we make this presentation available for download later as well, so you can take a more detailed look. I don't have much time to go into certain details, but you can see a seasonality in there, but you can also see every time gold moves up, we can see a bit of an uptick in financing activity. Not so much, just in the last 6 months. So one thing that has me quite positive is actually that the bankers are returning to the table. Back then, I had a very similar slide, like there's no commissions to be made in mining. That has changed since May. Bankers and the brokers have gone more bullish. We've seen more financings and more financing activity, especially on the bought deal and the brokered deal side, which is really important. Year over year, actually, as of today, we've seen 66 brokered and 56 bought deals, and only since May that number has increased tremendously. We've seen 45 and 41 respectively, and since then. I call it the resurgence. Some of you might remember the slide, is the cold truth. That's how I called it earlier this year. Up until May, I was quite pessimistic looking at the sector, especially looking at the summer. But the summer has been tremendous, actually, in terms of financing activity. But we've slowed down since. We've lost a lot of momentum, or a lot of investment dollars in recent years. 2018 and 2019, we're still not looking too rosy in overall numbers. We've only raised $1.9 billion, and we still need to raise another $800 million to just make it to 2018 levels, which was already a really bad year for us. But you can see January to April, we've raised $640 million. You can see that in the top right-hand corner. And May to today, we raised $1.2, $1.3 billion, which is quite positive. We've seen more activity, but it's nothing in comparison what we need the market to really move ahead. Part two, resurgence, overall number of deals. This is looking quite good. 292 the first part of the year, and since gold started running, we've seen 483, which is positive, but we've also seen, as you can see on the next slide, the total dollar amount per financing has increased as well. So we're seeing more bigger deals. That means the developers or the miners are getting financed, the ones that we're tracking. But grassroots exploration, if you go around the room, there are quite a few grassroots explorers. They still have a hard time raising their money. Some of them trying to go IPO or list or RTO, and they can't even get the $2.5 million they need right now. It's a very tough slug for them. Flow-through, unfortunately for you U.S. investors, this is more of a difficult one. Charity flow-through is more open because you can buy the shares straight from the person that or the group that has signed for the flow-through, but it's keeping the industry alive. And you got to thank Canada that some of the companies are still afloat, that they kept that flow-through scheme alive because it's financing half the industry, or a lot of the industry actually. It's like 15.2% of the overall dollars raised, and that's worldwide for the companies that are listed on the Canadian exchanges, is flow-through money. That's only designated for Canadian projects. So if you look, and I just heard that number from somebody else, actually, I just had a conversation with Niels from Kitco, and he said actually 70 to 80% of the total dollars raised for Canadian projects is actually flow-through. So that's keeping really the industry alive. It keeps the drills turning, it keeps producing news flow, it helps with liquidity. Other than that, we'd be in very dire need of rescuing. Outlook. I've been really running through these slides real quick because I've been only getting 10 minutes. So I'm really available afterwards for more questions and details. But one thing we definitely see is that flow-through is going to be a bigger part until the end of the year. Last year, the overall flow-through number was roughly 18%. So we're still shy overall in that regard. And I think we'll see that number coming back up in the next couple of weeks. It's at the end of October already. So we only got like 6 weeks of probably activity left in this year. Access to financing is key as well. A lot of retail investors completely disappeared, meaning bankers, brokers, they don't even have access to a retail investor anymore. And how do retail investors get access if you don't have a brokerage account? One thing is deal clubs and grassroots explorers. They still have a hard time financing. I mentioned that earlier. You go around the room, you talk to any of them, ask them how much they can raise for their early stage exploration, and they'll tell you it's a struggle. One thing, like tooting my own horn, I'm running the Ordnung Mining Deal Club as well, together with Brent Cook, Tim Oliver, and Paul Harris. We're a newsletter-based service. We propose financings to subscribers on a very selective basis. As you might have seen on the first or second slide, we track over 1,300 deals a year with Ordnung. The Ordnung Mining Deal Club, we've proposed 7 so far to our subscribers. So we're quite selective, and with the resurgence of the gold price, I think there's going to be more activity in this space. We're going to see more higher quality financings coming back. We've really slowed down the last few months showing opportunities to our subscribers, but that's going to be picking up again early in the new year.